everybody in this world, I think, just needs a swift kick in the butt to get them going. Don't feel so sorry for yourself. Just be mindful of what you want in life and go after it. No one's stopping you but you. That's all I can say about that. Because no one else can do it but you.
Welcome to the show. I have none other than my mother, probably my most famous client, Joan MacDonald. And Joan was on the show a couple of years ago, and I'm really happy to have her back and share where she has evolved her fitness and her health, what's going on. So welcome to the show, Joan.
Thank you so much for having me.
She had no choice.
That's about it.
So the first thing that I want to do is talk about, because this is so important. You know, this episode is going to release towards the end of January, and a lot of people are going to have already started to fall off on their New Year's resolutions. It's very, very normal. A very high percentage of New Year's resolutionists by week 2 and 3 have fallen off the bandwagon, but we don't want that, do we?
No, I hope everybody wants what I've got.
And you can get it.
Yeah.
So I think let's pick your brain a little bit. What are some things, what are some tips and strategies that you think could help people? And I really want you to think about some of the more challenging times that you went through on your own journey and still maybe continue to go through. How do you pick yourself up? How do you kind of brush yourself off? Don't get caught up in this perfectionism, all or nothing, and keep going forwards.
I don't know if I've ever, maybe I have fallen into that kind of trap, but no, I just want to be as healthy as I can for as long as I can so that I can see this beautiful world of ours and do things and meet people that I have yet to meet. It's just a journey for me. I wish everyone else could feel the same as I do.
So it's a little bit of your why, right? Like
My
what
why,
really
yeah.
pulls you forward and grounds you when things don't go perfectly. One of my taglines with Joan is that she's probably my least perfect client, and yet she has sustained her weight loss. And this is important to hear, guys. She is not perfect in her meal planning. She sometimes gets her supersets mixed up, but she's consistent. She has a great attitude. She keeps moving forward, doing her best. And I think a big part of that is you're very attached not to a number on the scale, not to this idea of, you've never been attached to an idea of how you should be. It's really, you so experienced for so long poor health that now that you have health and you're still aging, right? You're still getting older, but you really get pulled forward to not get into that perfectionism and that all or nothing attitude, and to keep betting on yourself because you want to enjoy life. You want to meet new people. You want to have that vitality. You want to travel, I think.
Well, I want to travel somewhat. I just wish I could just wiggle my nose like Samantha and get from point A to point B.
I do see her wiggling her nose in her bedroom sometimes. That's very concerning. So can we tease that a little bit more? So knowing your why, did you write it down? Do you journal it? How do you remind yourself when things aren't going great or when life's challenging and all the things are getting thrown your way, when you're injured? How do you tap into that why to stay positive and to keep going?
Well, I do some journaling. I'm not as consistent as I should be, but it always plays in my mind. So I guess that one thing about me, I don't write down lists, and I probably should. that is a good thing for people to do. And it all depends on the person. I just, I'm like someone in a groove. I don't get out of that groove too often. So I think that's part of my consistency is I just keep plugging away at the same thing day in and day out, wanting to know that I can overcome barriers. Yeah.
Beautiful. So it sounds to me like there's maybe two things going on. If we, we love James Clear over at the Wonder Woman. I talk about James Clear a lot in my coaching, and it sounds like, well, there's habit stacking going on, right? Yep. So you're definitely stacking the good habits onto some other regular things that you're doing, but also, really trusting the process. And I don't want to just say that glibly, guys, because what does that mean? Trust the process. But once you have memorized a really good routine. Now, Joan learned a routine. I call it my fitness model blueprint that I teach all of my clients. She learned that routine. She mastered that routine, being very repetitive over and over again with planning in your protein and your meals. So even though she doesn't do it all the time, it's really in the background.
Yeah.
Right? Like when you look at foods, oh, that doesn't have very much protein in it. And I better order some ham or some chicken or something like that. Or you're aware, right? Oh, that didn't have a lot of protein. I got to have protein in my other meal. So you just hammered home those habits and those routines. So I think that's really important, that you really dive into a routine that is known to give great results, then make it yours, keep going. Even if you're not perfect at it, that consistency with the overarching routine will carry you through the highs and lows. And I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I knew as a coach that Joan had made it when we were it was the morning you were giving the eulogy for your own mom. My grandmother had passed away, and the house was full of people. My younger brother was there. He cooks, and he loves to cook like cheesecakes and cheese bread and cheesy things. And I got up in the morning. I had no expectations that Mom would join me at the gym, but I was going to the gym. I think I was in probably some show prep or something. And, there was Joan. She had her food on the scale. She was measuring out. She was making, I think, an egg white omelet or something. She was in her gym clothes. She was ready to go to the gym. And she had to give this eulogy. And Mom, at that point in time, I think maybe you're a little bit more comfortable now with talking in front of people. But back then, she really wasn't. It was 2017 for the first year of your transformation.
Yeah.
And you were coming to the gym. And I remember asking you, are you sure that you want to come to the gym? And you said, absolutely, right? Like you knew that was going to ground you so that you could give the eulogy.
Yes.
So I knew you'd made it then.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that you knew that, but I just felt that, you can't give up on your life because someone else passed away or someone left your friendships behind. It's just you've got to do what you got to do for yourself, and no one else is going to do it for you. I know that.
So I think that's important again, because this episode is going to launch at the end of January. A lot of people are going to be struggling, and guys, take it from Joe. Just stick with that process and keep going. It's not about being perfect.
No. I never ever said I was perfect, and I don't ever believe I will be. But if I can do the best I can, that's all I can do.
And that's all any of us can do, is you just do the best you can. I think the other piece from James Clear is this idea of identity shift. So somewhere along the line, you shifted your identity from somebody whose instinct when things were challenging was to kind of numb out, eat the peanuts, right? I think it was peanuts got the best of it.
I don't know why I thought. Well, I think it was probably something that you said about nuts or good high in protein. Blah blah blah. I like peanuts.
Oh, so you're blaming it on me. It's my fault. I never would say nuts are a high source of protein. They're a great source of fats, but not a good source of protein.
Oh, well, then I must have misunderstood you. And maybe it was because I wanted to misunderstand you.
I won't argue with you there.
No.
So somewhere along the line, you had an identity shift, right? Because this is another really important piece of the puzzle that I really want this podcast to get across to everyone. The statistics for regaining weight after a significant weight loss are sad, right? And we hear it all the time. The actual percentages will change a lot depending on the research, the cohort studied, et cetera. But it's generally like most of the people, the majority of the people that lose a significant amount of weight are going to regain it within 2 to 3 years. And Joan, you are in your eighth year. And you are just over 2 months away from your 3 months, right? January, February, March.
My 79th. Finish my 79th
From her
birthday.
80th birthday. You're just over a year from your 80th, which is kind of, when you think of it, losing 70 pounds in your 70s sounds like, wow, that's crazy. That's amazing. But you've kept it off. You'll have kept it off for a decade. Not being perfect, right? And living a full life.
Pretty much.
So that's another really important message. Let's talk a little bit about choose your heart.
Oh, God.
Because a lot of people would say, and you've heard this, you've had friends say, oh, I could never do that. That's too hard, right? Yeah. But again, here you are, in a year, you'll be celebrating,
80 years.
Your 80th year in great health. You've been maintaining this sort of 135. When Joan first lost the weight the first year, I think at month 7 or 8, you were around 155 pounds. We didn't really change your calories too much to drop the weight off, to be honest. Just shifting what she was eating around seemed to cause a lot of the change, and training, of course. But we haven't had to do a diet or anything like that since then. But your body's naturally settled at this 135 pounds, and you've been eating the same sort of calories for ages now. And you have treat meals. We had ice cream and tacos yesterday, and we're going to have some sushi tonight. So, but a lot of people think that what you're doing is hard. So I really think that you have something really important to share with people about that, because it's a lot of people your age aren't getting to be excited about the future the way you are because of the changes you've made.
No, my eyes were really opened when my mom was in the nursing home, because I watched a lot of the older people. They just got carbs. They never focused on the proteins. They didn't focus too much. They did some exercises, but they weren't challenging exercises.
In the nursing home?
In the nursing home. And you really need, just stay away from the nursing home. I'd sooner be like I am than to be laying or sitting in a nursing home waiting to croak. It's just horrible that they get a little bit of entertainment, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but it's nothing to make them enjoy their life.
So you're basically saying that the nursing home is not where you want to end up.
No way.
And so
no,
doing things that keep you out of that nursing home
is the smartest way to be.
Is going to be less hard than being in that nursing home.
Yeah. If I know quite a few people now that are still living in their own homes, and they're quite advanced in their ages, and that's what I love to see, because you can get a little bit of help than just your family, and some people don't have any family left, but you can get some help, and if you can stay in your own home and be more mobile, that is the greatest thing you can ever do.
So so we know that it's important to not go into the nursing home, especially as the population continues to age, the medical system continues to buckle. Yeah. I mean, we're really seeing the deterioration of the healthcare system. I mean, it's going to have to go through a a massive shift from being kind of tertiary care, fixing things after they're broken, to more proactive.
Yeah.
Right.
Proactive is the best way to go.
Yeah. So choose your hard. So how can you, what are maybe a couple of 1 to 2 reframes that people can have, so that they're looking at the training, looking at the meal planning through that lens of, this isn't hard. This is like the best healthcare insurance I could possibly be investing in. This is going to save me pain and time later. There's a wonderful saying, right? If you don't make time for your health now, you're going to have to make time for illness later.
Yeah.
So what are some tips, even if it's just one?
Well, first of all I can say is everyone should keep moving. I don't see anything good coming out of people sitting around doing nothing, even if it's just walking. But the other thing is to make sure you have enough sleep, make sure you hydrate, because your body malfunctions when you don't hydrate enough. And I know that myself. I get headaches, I get lethargic. You just have to keep feeding it. I know you have to go to the washroom too, but that's a minor thing. You can put up with that, but you want that verbose life, that happiness of still living. You not just existing.
So take care of some of the basics.
Yeah, the basics are even if you don't have a lot of food, if you've got
quality.
the freshest, the quality in the food is the major thing. Don't just open a can of beans or don't open cans and stuff. Make it as fresh as you can. Make it as pure as you can without all the additives that they have in your meats and stuff. Yeah, make sure you've got the best.
And that hasn't really changed that much. I mean, since you were a kid, probably. I don't know.
Oh, when I was a kid, we had, at least for the first 10 years of my life, I had quality food. It was pretty basic food, but we had the best that we could have. And you gotta learn how to cook. You gotta, besides eating it, you gotta cook it. So yeah, there's all kinds of things you can do with a little bit of spices. Make anything taste good.
And you sort of settled on a pretty repeatable meal plan. Like you always
Yes.
have the same one. There's like a couple of breakfasts you like to have. There's a couple of this post workouts that you like to have.
And I like some that are a little bit different every once in a while. So that's sort of my treat.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the basic ones. I like the one bowl meals. That's the greatest, because you can keep the dishes down and you still get all the food that you need. And there's probably protein and a couple of carbs and a bit of fat. Yep, and some spices, and that makes it great.
So probably keeping it simple.
Oh, simple is the best.
One of the things that's allowed you to be successful. And I know as a coach, a lot of times I'll see gals create these meals that have like 20 ingredients. And then you're trying to do that 5 meals a day.
No.
35 meals a week, and you just start to get exhausted.
No wonder they feel it's hard. It's you keep it. Well, I like to keep things simple anyway. It's like, don't make mountains out of molehills.
And so maybe like one of the reframes for you then is, because when you talked about the joy and having energy and vitality and all of that, your face literally lit up. So that why for you is incredibly powerful. And that's probably the biggest reframe that's giving you that extra edge. If you feel like not really thinking about your meal planning and getting the protein in, or when the groceries, the fridge is a little bit empty and you have to go and get groceries, but you're tired.
Yes.
It's probably that remembering your why you're doing it and getting that spark of joy. I don't know. What do you?
Well, myself, if I'm going to prep food, I don't want to prep food at the beginning of the week and eat it all week long. I prefer to do maybe 3-day preps all the time. And then that way I have the freshest ingredients to eat. And I enjoy that a lot more than, just,
Cold, old food.
yeah.
Team, no cold, old food. Okay, good. And then you're also going to the grocery store. You get on your bike. She swings her leg over her bike and pedals off into the horizon. It's wild. And then you get your steps in. So you're actually also being more active.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you intend to do that?
I do that all the time. Like I don't even have a car down here. I've got one in Canada, but then the grocery store is a heck of a lot further away than they are down here.
Tell us about your watch. You started when you started working with me, you had no tech. You didn't even have a
No.
smartphone. Now you've got a smartphone, an iPad, you've got your watch. You've got the little red light therapy device you put on your knee. So tell us about the watch. What do you love about it?
Well,
we're not promoting anything here,
no,
but I think
the
it's
thing
important
is,
because
it does help a lot if I know that I've got my steps in. I want to know that I've got my steps in. But I sometimes I forget to to plug anything in. And then I'm doing all this exercise and it's trying to figure out what is she trying to do anyway. Yeah, it's great to have because you can do so much on it. It's got your heart rate is, like it's everything. All the oxygen you have in your system. There's just so many things on it. I haven't even
played with everything.
Played with everything. Yeah, I don't. I'm afraid to touch too many things. But if I have a question, I just ask someone who also has one. So many people have them.
So this is important too. And guys, if you're listening and it's maybe you're thinking about your parents, I imagine a lot of people listening to this episode will be thinking about their parents as well, or a sibling that's older. And of course, Joan has an Apple Watch, but there's a lot of other devices out there that are very affordable. You can order them on Amazon. They just track steps. They just track a couple of things. It's not the whole kit and caboodle. And it can be very encouraging to pay it forward and just gift somebody that and get them started on getting those steps in and getting more active, because it does start with it can start, and this is the James Clear, make it easy, right? Like don't you, if this is if you've got a lot of resistance to doing this stuff, then just start with, I'm just gonna walk for 5 minutes. I'm gonna track my steps for 5 minutes. I'm just gonna have a glass of water before I eat my first meal of the day. Like something really simple that you're just not going to get any of that internal friction from. And if you've fallen off the plan, just start like that. Like just go to the gym and warm up. And before you know it, you'll probably be doing your whole workout.
Yeah, there's many a time I've gone to the gym and I'm so sore and I think, oh, I won't be able to do that. But I found out, and maybe the hard way, that the more you do, the easier it is. And it's mind blowing when you think of all the things that you resisted at one time. It was just a false idea. Like if you use your body and do these exercises, do them as best you can. You keep doing it, and the pain's gone. By the time you finish that exercise, you wonder why you thought you couldn't do it. It's ridiculous, but it's true.
Well, we have a saying, motion is lotion.
It is. I guess that's what it is, because it seemed like I was working with the wrong oil in my tank.
And this is great because the other thing I really want to touch upon is the past year, 2 years, you've had some significant health challenges. And if you've been following Joan on Instagram, you'll know that she's tried stem cell therapy a couple of times, and she's having trouble with her knee. She's having trouble with her shoulder, her arthritis. She has osteoarthritis. And in her fingers has gotten so painful that she was having a lot of trouble pulling her tights up her legs. And we had to start looking for different tights that were just not
looser.
So tight. So tell us a little bit about that. How do you train around injury? When do you have to realize, hey, enough is enough, I've got to really address this? And then the rehab process, you haven't been able to lift weights
Oh,
for
yeah.
several months. You're just starting to get back to that
We're just
now.
starting. Yeah.
So share a little bit with
Yeah.
the audience on
With the,
on that.
with the stem cell, the protocol with them is to lay off doing exercises only with the therapist, a physiotherapist that knows about stem cells, because you can retard the whole process if you do stuff that you shouldn't be doing for certain periods of time. Well, the first 3 months, I've finished the 3 months. Now I've got the next 3 months, which I hope to see more of a significant results from the stem cells. They're tiny, tiny little things, and they have to grow and go where they're supposed to go to help you. So it's learning all about how this process works. And I've got the use of my hands more so than I had before, but I still have pain in certain areas depending on how I'm moving my hands. But biggest part of my hands are good. It's just the thumbs are giving me a little bit of trouble still. But
not nearly
it's
as
not
much
near
as
as
they
much
used
as
to
it
be.
was. No, 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 no.
But what I want you to share with is dealing with injury and how do you still keep moving forward? Because for a lot of people, if they get sick or they get injured, they just slide completely off.
On it.
And I always tell my clients, control the controllables. If the only thing you can do is control your nutrition, you can't train and all of that stuff. Control your nutrition. If the only thing you can do is, if you're in a hospital, is just focus on your mindset
Then do that.
and your hydration, focus on that. Always find a way to win and focus on the things that are within your control and have pride in that. So for you, how have you dealt with not being able to train, maybe seeing a little bit of your shoulder cap disappear? How do you stay positive?
I keep working the one part of my body that will work. um, I I just can't give up completely on it. I can't stop it. Like doing what I do, I just do a lot less in the format of I don't use the same weights as I did before until I'm allowed to do it. That movement that and let me see, being mindful of what the exercise is for and what weights can still give me some resistance. And if I can't do the weights, there's bands. That's what I did when we were in COVID. I did a lot of training with bands, and that kept me going. I mean, you didn't have access to the gyms at that time.
So finding something that you can
Find
do.
something that I can do. Yeah, always find something else that you can do. Focus on it. As long as you're moving the parts that you've been training with in some degree, and as I said, if you don't have the weights, or if you can't use the weights, then use the bands, because they give you a lot of resistance. There's different strengths with them.
And if you can't train, right, then maybe you can do some cardio, or
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
you can do some steps, something that's low impact. Again, motion is
Lotion.
lotion. So, moving, helping the lymphatic system to do its job, training your cardiovascular system a little bit. That also has wonderful benefits. I think cardio gets such a bad rap these days.
But everything that you do in life, has an effect on something else. So all I can say is when when something goes wrong, don't just throw in the towel. Just refocus on other areas. Because everything passes. Everything goes by the wayside at some point in time in your life. So don't give up on yourself. For heaven's sake, just keep at it. You need to Everybody in this world, I think, just needs a swift kick in the butt to get them going. Don't feel so sorry for yourself. Just be mindful of what you want in life and go after it. No one's stopping you but you. That's all I can say about that. Because no one else can do it but you.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap this episode up. Thank you so much, Mom Joan.
Thank you.
Train with Joan, for sharing your wisdom with us. And I'll probably have to have you on the show again, maybe when I have my new studio, when it's done in San Miguel de Allende. Wouldn't that be nice?
Wouldn't that be beautiful? Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the episode, and I will see you on the next one. Bye for now.
Bye.